Hi guys, and welcome to another video with me, the Duke. And today's video is going to be a gaming video. I don't do many of those, but I thought it was time, especially now when Final Fantasy 16 has been released. And sorry I haven't done many videos this summer, mainly because my health hasn't been the best since I had COVID, and I got an eye infection, so my eyes are really red. But things are looking up, and I hope that I will bring you more videos in the future. So anyway, I'm a gamer, or a retro gamer with love for role-playing games, even newer ones, but they kind of get less and less interesting in my opinion. And the fun thing is that I think it was in Final Fantasy 12 came out. Was it 12? Anyway, the one with Vaughn and Fran, the rabbit girl, came out many years ago. I kind of did a prediction because I didn't really feel it was a Final Fantasy game, and I said, I bet you in kind of like 10 years from now Final Fantasy will be a linear corridor with kind of like Devil May Cry combat. And from what I can see from Final Fantasy 17 or 16, that's what we have come to, and I'm sad about that. So I thought I would rank the Final Fantasy games I've played and that I own. So yeah, without further ado, and I will show you which ones I have first. We have Final Fantasy Origins, which is I think Final Fantasy 1 and 2. This is for the PS1. PS1. Yeah. I also have Final Fantasy 8 PlayStation, Final Fantasy 7 PlayStation. So these are the ones that I will be reviewing. We have Final Fantasy 6, also PlayStation, Final Fantasy 13, Xbox One, Final Fantasy 10, Final Fantasy 10 Part 2, Final Fantasy 12, Final Fantasy 13, and I have a copy of 13 Part 2 which I couldn't find for this video, but I have it. And finally Final Fantasy 14, or is it 15? It's 15 I think. So I'm going to rank this on how much I enjoyed playing them, and I will begin from the last to the first. So last comes first. And the ones that I really struggled to enjoy were actually Final Fantasy Part 1 and 2. I know there's been some remakes of these on Nintendo I think and stuff like that, but I haven't played those, so I'm just judging for these, which are basically the NES games or Super NES games with enhanced CGI cutscenes. Other than that, they are pretty much the same from what I understand. And they're not bad games, I think. Or, you know, but they are very hard to get into. They are very simplistic. There isn't much of, you know, a feeling to you know, want to explore, because the graphics are, in my opinion, not that enthralling. You know, they are 8-bit or 16-bit, I don't remember. So I would rate this last. If I wanted to play Final Fantasy game, I think this would be the last that I picked up. But it's a very fun and nice edition. This is the PAL version, and it comes with 2 discs, and also, of course, back in the days when we actually had manuals, and it comes with these little art cards, which I thought was pretty nice. So yeah, those 2 are probably the ones that I wouldn't recommend if you're new to the genre, and especially not if you're new to like role-playing games with modern graphics. These are very tough to get through, but that's just my opinion. Next up we have Final Fantasy X2 10 Part 2. Now this isn't a bad game either, but it's I don't know, really whimsical, silly, and it drags on for quite a bit. And if I want to play Final Fantasy, I rather go with the main games, you know. It continues the story from part 10, but I don't actually think I've ever finished this game. Actually, I thought there was I think there were some puzzles and stuff that I just, but it comes with a little enemy description with classic Final Fantasy. But it's a flashy game, you know, and if you enjoy like mild puzzling and stuff like that, collecting different costumes, it's okay, but it's not. It doesn't feel like Final Fantasy, and it lacks one big aspect which I'm going to go into later. So yeah, this would be the second that I wouldn't recommend. Like, I wouldn't feel myself like playing if I wanted to play Final Fantasy. Now, next on the list is Final Fantasy 12. Now, I think this one started out as an MMORPG or something, and it feels that way. And it's not a bad game either. None of these games, I will have to say this, none of these games are actually bad. They are pretty good, but I don't know, it never got the grip on me like some of the others in the series did. It's the main protagonist, Van, or whatever his name is dull as. He hasn't gotten any charisma, not like Squall, Cloud, even Noctis, you know. It's just bland. And let's go back to the detail that I really think lacked, and that is the role-playing elements, because if I remember correctly, you can kind of go in the same direction with all your characters on the sphere grid where you put out, so you know, there's no variety really. Everyone just ends up the same way because they are strong. I don't remember really, but it didn't grip me, and the story was pretty blah. So yeah. But it's not a bad game by any means. Now, next up on the list is Final Fantasy 13. I kind of enjoyed playing this one, but now we're going to come back to one of the things that, I don't know, it's nostalgia, I think. It's that kind of retro thinking, but first of all, the time, the battle system is starting here to get like very chaotic. There's really no time to plan and strategies. It's just bang, bang, bang. And one thing that I feel destroyed is something so trivial as the victory fanfare. Now, all the original Final Fantasy games up until this had a do like kind of a signature melody to show that you won the battle, and then you get the stats, you know. and things like that. I'm just going to lift up my doggo. It looks kind of a little bit like a Moogle. Anyway, and this just have some kind of elevator music that I can't remember a single tone from this game. And Nobuo Utsumatsu, sorry if I butchered his name, when he left Final Fantasy, I think the soul died with him. And yeah, it's just a linear hack and slash. It gets a little bit free in the end, but then it's just, and the ending is a downer. I didn't find this especially interesting. Lightning I liked, she was cool. And when it comes to Final Fantasy 13 Part 2 and 3, I played half of Part 2, but I couldn't bother playing Part 3, it just didn't hold my interest. So yeah, sorry. And next on the list is Final Fantasy 15. Now this game is an open world game, and it has pretty decent characters, like Noctis, the main character, and it's kind of like a buddy pal movie more or less. They go on this road trip to save the country, blah 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 blah. The story wasn't that compelling, but I kind of liked it because I liked the main characters. But here we have a prime example of something that I think destroys the Final Fantasy brand, at least this one. The game starts with the rendition of Ben E. King's Stand By Me. You know the song. And none other of the Final Fantasy games, they have been kind of resembling our world in some parts, but this one straight just up starts with an old 60s song. Talk about take you out of the fantasy feeling. I hated that. And it's also like they didn't know what to go for, because in the beginning of the game, you know, it feels like our world, everything is just the same, except it's set in a mildly fantasy setting. You know, there's some meteor that's hit and it's weird structures, and of course there's monsters, but there's not a big variety in monsters either, you know. You get kind of like shoehorned in the ones that you know are supposed to be there, and some really bland new ones. And I never got the grip on the battle system. For me it's just button mashing and hope for the best, you know. There are some ability trees and everything, it's just lacking. But what gives this the saving grace is the dynamic between the characters. So if you want to play it for that. But it's not a bad game, none of these are, as I said. Now we're getting into the top. And I have to put Final Fantasy VI here. This is a really good game despite, well, 16-bit graphics. This is also an enhanced edition which has like CGI cutscenes. But this one has the soul and heart of Final Fantasy, and it also has one of the best soundtracks of the series, I think. And yeah, it's a huge game, I'll have to say. And it also has this book. And when it was released, it came with a Final Fantasy 10 demo, which is in this box. And yeah, this is one of my favorite role-playing games ever. I really like this. It has a great like battle system, the music is awesome, the characters, the villain Kefka is just amazingly over the top and hilarious, and I can't speak warmly enough about this. Final Fantasy VI. And then we have Final Fantasy X. Now I know Tidus, or Tidus, the main character with the Meg Ryan haircut, has kind of some fans divided. They think he's over the top cringy, but on the other hand, if you see the concepts or the scenes in where he is kind of like cringe, it makes perfect sense. I think this is also one of the last true Final Fantasy game. It has everything that Final Fantasy stands for me. Great music, endearing characters, and yeah, it's just an overall amazing game, and I recommend it full-heartedly. And now we come to the 3 top games, and yeah, in third place I'll have to put Final Fantasy VIII. And when I think back of it or play it today, it might not feel as good as some of the other titles, mainly because it has this weird magic system and some annoying puzzles. I hate puzzles in games. But it was a game that I played the hell out of when it came out, and for that reason I love it. It also has great music, it has made great mini games, it has an awesome cast. The villain is a little bit so-so, but I love Final Fantasy VIII, despite all its flaws. I rather play this than Final Fantasy 15 or Final Fantasy 10 or whatever. So, and back in these days they came on several discs. So we have 1, 2, 4 discs. And on second place, we have a game I unfortunately don't have, and that's Final Fantasy IX. It was an awesome, amazing back to fantasy roots game with the most endearing characters, especially little black mage called Vivi, and you really felt for the characters. I remember, Princess Garnet, Zidane, the main character, and if you want to play a game that's like warm cotton around your heart, play Final Fantasy IX. It's one of the most amazing Japanese JRPGs out there. It has a perfect battle system, a lot of secrets, and a story to die for, and yeah. So when it comes to part 1, I think there's no surprises here. It's Final Fantasy VII, the first game that I played in the series and that got me into the Final Fantasy franchise. And I don't know what I can say about this game that hasn't already been said. It's a 10 out of 10. And when I play it these days, even though the graphics are blocky, I really wouldn't want it any other way. I've seen the remake. I unfortunately don't have a PlayStation 4 or 5. I would buy one if I had the money, but I haven't. I'm not like devoted to Xbox or Nintendo or PlayStation. I play everything. I play PC games too. But what Square did with this was magic. And for me, this is the highest ranked. I'd say it's on my top 3 role-playing games ever, among like Baldur's Gate and stuff like that. I love Pillars of. I like CRPGs very much, and but this is one of the top 3. The music, the characters, the mini games. It was like being lost in a completely different world. Everything just clicked. The main villain, Sephiroth, Cloud, Tifa, Yuffie, Barret, Red 12, I mean Vincent, Aerith, it just, yeah, I can't praise this high enough. And it also came on for 4 discs, I think. This was a huge game when it came out. So yeah, oh, it's 3 discs, sorry. It's amazing. Well, there you have it, my ranking of the Final Fantasy games. And since I don't have a PlayStation 5, I'm not able to play Final Fantasy 17 or 16 or whatever it is. But for me, the series has already peaked. And if I want to play Devil May Cry, I can play that. If I want to play a linear, action game with gritty story, the magic is gone, unfortunately. And yeah, so I think it's the end of an era, unless they go back to what made Final Fantasy fantasy again, like that. I don't know. Anyway, that was my retro reviews of the Final Fantasy games. And I love them. I actually more or less love all of them, but I don't like everyone as much. Okay, I hope I will feel better soon and that my eye will be better, and I still don't have any taste or smell after the COVID. Sometimes I feel these little hints of smell, but it sucks. It's like being a zombie or a vampire. Anyway, I wish you a happy summer, and I will see you in the next video. And remember, there can't be any light without darkness. Goodbye.